my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be my spring TBR, but this time it's manga. Because I made a reading goal at the beginning of the year to either finish or catch up to at least 5 different manga series, and I need to start actually making my way towards that goal if I even want to get close to it. Before we start, I do feel like I should explain myself some for why I picked some of the series that I did, and the main deciding factor was just what I feel like reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I do feel like I can catch up to before the end of the year, but it's also the spring. So of course I do want some fun, adorable, comedy, slice of life, romance series, so those will be in here too. So with that, any content warnings that I find for these books will be linked down below in the description. We're gonna go in alphabetical order here, and let's go ahead and get into it. We are going to start this TBR off with Bloom Into You by Nakatani Nio. This follows our main character, who is a big fan of shoujo manga and has always dreamed of the day where she would receive a confession of her own. However, when that day comes from one of her male classmates, she ends up feeling nothing. She enters high school still unsure of how to respond to this person, but she gets inspired when she sees the student council president shut down her own suitor, so she goes to her for advice. Our main character's romance may have finally come, however, when the next confession that she receives comes from that student council president herself. The light novels are included in this, but they were already in my other spring TBR video, but I did get my hands on volume 2 recently. I believe it is probably sitting in my mailbox right now, and I'm just too lazy to go and get it. So why not go ahead and put this series in another TBR? I also just may have to reread this volume. I don't remember it taking me very long to read, and I remember enjoying it, but it has been not necessarily a year since I've read this volume, but it is getting a little bit close to it. So I definitely do think I am going to be giving this one a reread before reading volume 2, and this series just seems like it'll be fun to read when it's nice, bright, and sunny outside. And I'm just curious to see where this story is going to go. I remember this volume not giving me a ton of development, and this is one of the few series on this TBR where I haven't seen the anime yet. So I do definitely feel like I need that development right now, and I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this series so that I get that development. Next up is Blue Period by Tsubasa Yamaguchi. This follows our main character Yatora, who is a high school student, and despite his good grades and also group of friends, he's living a pretty dull life. However, that all changes when he wanders into the art room one day and sees a painting that awakens him to the beauty of art, which compels him into learning more about art and creating art himself and experiencing all of the challenges that come with it. This is a series that I picked up originally because everybody was saying that the manga was better than the anime, and I liked the anime, so I figured that I had to go and read it. This series has such a gorgeous art style and some really amazing panels, and there are storylines and characters that I really want to see more of. The character on the front of this volume, for example, and I also do find this series to be very inspirational when it comes to art and creativity. I am almost halfway through this volume, and I'm looking forward to picking it back up again. Next up is Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto. This follows our main character Denji, who hunts devils with his pet devil dog for money, as he has a lot of debt to pay off. However, things get turned upside down when he gets betrayed and he acquires the power of a devil himself, turning him into Chainsaw Man. I said in my horror manga reading vlog back in October that I wanted to binge the rest of this series right in a row, and yeah, that unfortunately did not happen. I do wish it did, but because it didn't happen, I do want to dive back into this series this spring. I'm going to count part 1 of this series towards my reading goal, so I do think I have a very good chance of catching up before the end of the year. This is a series that is also so hyped up, I almost feel no choice but to keep reading. And I'm also pretty attached to a lot of the characters at this point, and the story definitely seems to be going in some really interesting directions. So because of all of that, I am very excited to continue on with this. Next up is Demon Slayer by Koyoharu Gotouge. This follows our main character Tanjiro, whose peaceful life is shattered when his entire family is slaughtered by a demon. This is an attack that also turns his little sister, who is the only survivor, survivor into a demon, so he sets out to try to return her back to the way that she was and also avenge his family. So the third season of the Demon Slayer anime is currently airing while I am filming this, and that was my inspiration to dive back into the manga because I do really feel like I needed a refresh on the earlier episodes and storylines, and I'm really debating whether or not I want to get ahead of the anime through the manga. I do think that I do because I just want to keep reading until I finish it, but there also is a pretty large part of me that does like the anime more, but luckily I still have a ways to go before I have to make that decision. This series has quite a few characters that I have really grown to love and adore, and also even more characters that I really want to know more about. I'm feeling very drawn to this series as a whole right now, so I definitely do want to take advantage of those feelings while they are as prominent as they are. Like, I am spending a lot of time thinking about this series, more than I ever had before, so it's time to capitalize on that. Next up is Haikyuu by Haruichi Furudate. This follows our main character who wants to become the best volleyball player ever despite his shorter height. I really do prefer to read this series when it's bright and it's sunny outside. If I try during any other time, it just never feels as correct. But speaking of series that I think about a lot, this is probably my biggest comfort series out of all of my comfort series. It just makes my heart so happy. I love these characters so much. They're definitely one of my favorite cast of characters that I've ever read, and they just make me smile, and I always have so much fun with this series. And I just need that in my life. My goal is to finish the manga before the final movies come out, because I want to stay positive about those movies, but like, there's no way they're going to cover everything right. And I just feel like those movies should not be my first experience with the ending of this series, but I really want them to prove me wrong on that. Next up is Komi Can't Communicate by Tomohito Oda. This follows Komi, who has extreme social anxiety and wants to make 100 friends, and it also follows her wallflower classmate who makes it his mission to help her. I have a lot of love and a lot of gratitude for this series that I don't even know if I can portray through words, but that has all been through the anime so far. And despite me continuously hauling the volumes, I haven't read any of them yet, but like, I just got volume 24 the other day, so I definitely think it's time to start reading them. This is a series that really does hit close to home for me, which is probably part of the reason why I've been collecting these volumes more than actually reading them. But I do miss this series a lot, and there are so many adorable covers that I know once I get to them, I am going to absolutely love and adore them. I am especially looking forward to these two. Like, this one has to be one of my favorite covers of all time. It's definitely not a perfect series, but it is one that really does own my entire heart. And as if I needed another excuse to go ahead and read the manga, like I said at the beginning of the video, comedy, slice of life, and romance. I can't make a TBR with those things as one of my criteria and then not talk about this series. It will never happen, actually. Next up is Phantom of the Idol by Hijiki Isoflavone. This follows the pop duo Zings, where one member really gives it his all, and the other member, Yuya, is probably one of the laziest people in the entire industry, which leads to the fans disliking him and the agency looking for an excuse to fire him. After a concert one night, he runs into the ghost of a beloved idol who would give anything to be able to perform again. These two then work together through spirit possession in order to accomplish what they are both looking for. I watched this anime when it aired, and it's not the greatest anime in the world, but I really did enjoy my time with it. And it had a lot of comedy that really worked for me, so because of that, I'm more curious about the manga more than anything. I feel like I need to know what this is going to be like, and I'm just hoping to have more fun with this series. Next up is Skip and Loafer by Misaki Takamatsu. This is a romantic comedy that follows our main character who comes from a small country town but is chasing her dreams at a Tokyo high school, where she finds out that the social norms of city high schoolers are much more out of her element than she originally thought. Was this entire video just an excuse for me to come on this channel and hype up and gush over this series? It absolutely was. So like Demon Slayer, this series does have a currently airing anime adaptation at the time I am filming, and like Komi Can't Communicate, I fell in love with this series series immediately. It's adorable and heartwarming, from the characters to the relationships to the art style. And it also has deeper and more emotional and relatable themes to it as well. I have been loving these characters and the dialogue and the humor and pretty much everything about this series so much. I am just so completely charmed by everything about this series so far, and we're only like 3 weeks in at the time of filming this. And this is one that I do think that I am going to let the anime stay ahead of me for now, but I do think that I will be reading these volumes right behind it. Next up is Odokoi Love is Hard for an Otaku, written by Fujita. This follows two otaku who start working at the same office. They decide to date due to the convenience of it, but it isn't long before those feelings start to become more than that. I read the first volume, or at least like the first combined volume of the series, a little bit over a year ago now, and I really enjoyed it. There were a couple of running jokes here and there that I wasn't a huge fan of, but other than those, I had a really amazing time. I really enjoyed our main couple specifically, and the anime is not currently streaming on any of the streaming services that I have, but I have watched a couple of other office romance comedy anime since reading the first volume of this, and those have really only shown me that I should be reading more of this manga, because no offense to them, but yeah, I definitely think I like this series a lot more. And the final manga series that I'm going to be talking about today is Yona of the Dawn by Mizuho Kusanagi. This follows our main character Yona, who is a princess who is living the perfect life. However, that all changes one day when she witnesses the murder of her father. She flees for her life with her guard and struggles to survive and evade their enemies while also dealing with the shock of what just happened, especially when the path ahead of her seems so unclear. This is a manga series that I'm going to be starting where the anime left off at, because I am very heartbroken that this anime does not have more episodes than it does. I need to know where this story is going. I need more of the characters, more of the romance, more of the adventure, and just more of everything. The anime left this hole in my heart where the rest of the series should be, and I'm really hoping the manga helps out with that. It's been a while since I've watched the show, and I shouldn't have waited this long to start the manga since watching it, so things are like a little bit fuzzy right now, but I'll figure something out. I always do. And before we wrap up, I do want to give like one honorable mention to this series right here, Blue Lock. I do think that I'm going to be saving my thoughts on this series for my April reading wrap up, because I just need a little bit more time to think about it. But this is a series that I am actively reading right now, and as of right now, I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so that is all that I have for this TBR. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that. And hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!